All right, everyone. This is the security and surveillance portion. Again, I am Angelo Greco, systems training specialist with Konami. I'm just gonna skip all the introductions just to save a little time here. A couple reminders, guys, please ask questions. That is why we're here. There's no such thing as a stupid question. Please ask anything that you might be wondering. What we're gonna go over today is navigate synchros, perform basic functions. I'm going to go through it quickly. I'm sure all of you have seen it already. We're going to get into managing system alerts, creating them, looking at them, acknowledging them. Then we're going to get into VIP alerts, VIP zones, VIP groups, VIP notes, observe floor activity. We're going to check slot and table history. We're going to scan patron transaction history as well, employee transaction history. And then we're going to get into the POS and kiosk history. And also, I saw in the roles report that you guys are going to have access to the patron credit, view only for information. And I'll get into more questions about the table rating as well, and see if you guys are still going to want access to that. This is our Synchros icon. We're going to give that a double click. The DOS box will pop up. Usually it stays minimized, but don't close it because we need that to run Synchros. Once you log into Synchros, it should be your first initial full last name. So for instance, if your name was Katie Onami, your login would be Konami, and then we will provide you with a generic password. Once you enter that generic password, it will prompt you to put in a personal password. Any questions so far? There usually isn't. So we're going to get right into it. All of you should have an agenda that I sent you through email. That's just to follow along with this training. The agendas also act as a roadmap for future reference. If you don't remember how to get to a certain form or how a form works, you can use the agenda. This is our Synchros menu button. All right, this is going to activate all your access. If at any time you were to put in your username or password wrong and hit connect, it'll tell you employee doesn't exist or invalid credentials. And then the screen will go blank. You can just hit that menu button again, hit connect, and then try again. So I made a security role for this training. You can hit connect, and a few things light up once you're connected to the database. These will turn to color, and then you will have your game site, your role, the gaming date. This is obviously wrong, but if I hover over that, Synchros always knows the date and time. All right. Yours will obviously be up to date for go live. But if it isn't, contact someone, say, hey, the gaming date is wrong. You need to roll the shift. But real quickly, I'm just going to go over the top global toolbar. This is going to follow you everywhere you go. Never going to change. But underneath, there is a forms toolbar, depending on which form that you go into. And that will change depending on what forms you're in. But if you hit the search button, it's kind of like Synchros Google. But if you do misspell what you're looking for, Synchros is not as cool as Google. So it won't say, did you mean to search for this? It'll just say, I can't find it. So I'd like to, just type in certain letters. So I'll just type in, say, ALE for alert. I can enter on my keyboard or hit the search here. And it will bring up everything that I have access to that has ALE in it. So for reports, I got alert setup report, history report, VIP alert, detail report, and my form would be the alert setup form. You can also filter these as well if you only want to look for reports or just forms. The reports button, if I give that a click, it will bring up every report that I have access to. So if I want to look at the VIP alert detail report, I just like to highlight it because I have to follow it all the way over here. And I have to check mark preview and run in that order. And then the parameters will pop up. Every report has different parameters. Anything with a double asterisk is a mandatory field. It's asking me for a date range. I'll just do this month up to today. And then any other parameter that doesn't have a double asterisk, it's kind of like a filter. So I can filter my report of what I want to look at. You know, if I want to look at the group, priority, the zone, I'm just going to leave it blank so I can look at everything. And I'm going to hit OK. Nothing's going to happen because on this reports, we can look at multiple reports at the same time. So if I also want to look at the alert history, I can hit my preview and my run. And see how there's a lot more parameters for this report. The only mandatory one is the gaming date. I don't know if there's any information in here, but we'll take a look. And then again, these are all filters. So I can filter the transaction. You know, if I only want to, you know, look at attended, cancel credit, paid, you know, so on and so forth. Leave it blank, look at everything. I can hit OK for that as well. And then once I have the reports I want to look at, I can hit process. And then those reports will open. So my alert history archive report for, you see how I can't see anything over here and there's no scroll? That's because it's not full screen. So I'm just going to go up here and make it full screen. And then my scroll will pop up on the bottom down here. So for today, my alert history, the location's unknown, machine's unknown, but voucher expired. All right, so that's what that report's looking like. The name of the report's always on the top left. The parameters that you chose are always on the top right. A few things we can do with these reports. We can print them. We can zoom out. We can look at multiple pages, but it really gets too small to read. We can zoom in, close. We'll close the report. We can export to CSV or an Excel spreadsheet, and we can modify these reports. You can save it to PDF, send it off an email. And the X up here will also close it, but we don't like to do that. We like this one because if we get click happy and we close that report, and then we close that report, we can close Syncros behind it, and then you will have to open it back up and log in. But that VIP alert detail report didn't have any information, all right? And I want to know what that report looks like. We have these question marks on the side. These are help docs. I can hit that question mark, and the report that I click on will always be at the top of the screen, and I can hit that sample button. And it'll just give you a sample of with false information on what that report is supposed to look like. You know, what information is going to be on that report. Second, so this report was in the marketing menu. So if I do hit a question mark in the marketing menu, the help doc is going to bring up every marketing report in the system. All right. So same thing, if I hit a question mark on the slot accounting, it'll pull up every report in the slot accounting menu. So if you see a report in here that you don't have access to, just, you know, contact IT and they can give you access to reports that you may need to use if it wasn't set up in the beginning. Tools are used for touchscreens, alphabetic keypad, numeric keypad. When you click on those, it makes a blue check mark saying that those are enabled. All it does is when you click on a field that you need to type or put a number in, it'll bring up a keyboard. Not very helpful with a keyboard and mouse, but very useful for touchscreens. So if that does happen to you at your desk, just remember, go to Tools, deactivate those. Don't need to worry about those. History is going to record everything you did in your Syncros session since you logged in. All right. So it'll tell you like attempting to connect. All right. You connected to the database. And then I remember I put in my wrong credentials. So I got disconnected, attempted to connect again, loading. And that's when I put in my wrong username and password. And then, so on and so forth. But these errors, if you get some weird errors that you can't get rid of, you can click on them, make them blue, hit file, get info. Send this to IT. They should be able to read these errors and try to fix it on the back end. And if they can't, they can highlight this and send this to an email to Konami, and we will fix it on the back end. If you do close Synchros, though, you will lose the history and you might not be able to recreate that error. So before you close it and try to reopen it, the ultimate IT fix, just copy this information just in case it doesn't work. Next set of help button on the top right is a double chevron pointing down. You can enable different view. All right, so this is the access that a security role or surveillance role would have access to. If I hit the human resources, it'll give me my menus. Same thing with patient tracking. And then if I click on these, it'll take me to that form. This is how you log off in the tile view. I like classic view with the keyboard and mouse. Everything's right here. And then right underneath my menu button is the change password. So I'm not sure if you guys are set up for 30 days, 60 days, or 90 days. I think it's 90 days. So every 90 days, you guys are going to have to change your password. All right. You're going to get a little pop-up once you log in saying, hey, your password's going to expire in 7 days. This is how you would change your password. You just go to the menu button, go to change password. It'll look like this. Put in your old password, new, retype, and then hit change password. I'm not going to do that right now because I don't want to change my password. But once I hit change password, you'll get a little message down here on the bottom left saying password changed successfully, or password has changed. If you miss that, this screen's not going to change. All right. So once I hit change password and if I miss that message, don't change it again. Just go to your history and it'll say down here, password has changed, successfully, or record updated, something along those lines. I got an error because I was clicking in these fields and it said, hey, you need a new password before you can retype it. All right, so that is the basic functions. We're going to get right into it. On your agenda, if you go to number 2, I'm going to go to my surveillance form because this is where those alerts that we are going to set up are going to go once they are triggered. I don't know if you guys can hear all that noise in the background, but every time you open the surveillance form, if you have alerts, it's going to make a little noise, and the noise is going to be based off of what you set up. All right, so I want that to get out of my face. All right, I gotta go to a different form here real quick. Oh, there we go. Now it disappeared. And we get to listen to that one more time. I had to leave the form and go back.
That's what happens when you do it. Oh, okay. I see. Very bad.
All the alerts like to make a little noise for us. Oh, 1 second. I'm just gonna put that up there in case I need to see. All right. So for my role, I set up 3 different roles. All right. I set up security role, surveillance, and surveillance director just for training. Some of you may have multiple roles under your hat. But right now I'm under my security. So I set up a couple alerts for security, point adjustments. All right. A point adjustment, these were manual point adjustments. If I click on it, I can see points adjusted by Daniel, that is the employee, for Hank Hill, and that is the patron. And then if I go to my next tab, I have other alerts set up. So comp adjustments, table closers. I got the surveillance director role as well. And the reason I set up all three is because this float frame down here, it makes it easy so you can look at all three roles at the same time. So these are my three roles. I can, look at all of them at the same time if I wanted to. If I see the same alert on all three roles, I can click that, acknowledge it in that one. I can acknowledge it in that one and acknowledge it in this one. And then those three are gone from all three tabs. If I don't want to see all three like this, I could just hit dock frame and those tabs will go right back up here. In surveillance, you're probably going to have this form up all day long on a big screen. If you get sick of the little chiming noises every time an alert comes in, we have this handy little mute button. You can mute it, all right, if you get sick of hearing the little chimes. All right, so that's what we're going to be building. So I'm going to go to my Synchros menu button. Oh, also next to change password, disconnect will log you out. You can also hit F12 on your keyboard to log you out. If you hit exit, that's the same thing as hitting this X over here. It will close the app and you'll have to reopen it next time you want to log in. But I'm going to go to system admin, alert setup. And this is our alert form. There are hundreds and hundreds of alerts for different business areas. If I want to look at the alerts that are already set up in the system, I can just click on has alerts. And then you can see that all the bells are filled in. That means that there is an alert set up for this transaction. If I go back to all, the ones that are blank do not have any alerts set up. But if I wanted to search for a certain alert, say slot. All right, I can type in slot and then it'll narrow my list down a little bit for me. But if I go slot door, oh, I know there's a slot door open one. What is it called? I'm going to go a different route. EGM. There we go. EGM, belly door, belly panel door closed, opened. All right. So we can set up alerts every time the door is open and closed. We got all our slot machine options here. We can also do our tables. So like if I put in fill, you guys don't have any hoppers, but those are still in there from back in the day. But I can go ahead and do, so fill request is already, there's a alert already set up for that. But I could do like a fill print. So every time a fill is printed, I can get an alert for that. I can hit the plus button. I'm gonna set up my alert. All right, so my group type is normally gonna just be role. And then the group is the department. All right. So I can just choose, the department that I want to get this alert, choose surveillance. And then floor and ceiling amount. What fills do I want to see? Do I want to see all of them? If I do, I can put a 0 on the floor and then a ceiling, I can just put a bunch of 9s. And that will basically show me every single fill that is printed. The alert values. All right, so there's 3 different types of alerts. We have monetary alerts that have an amount. These alerts need to have a floor and a ceiling amount, because if you put a 0 and a 0, you're not going to get an alert. unless, the filler credit is for 0. The variance, it's really an action alert. So when, someone does open that slot belly door or close that slot belly door, that would be, the variance alerts. If they're changing out the bill validator, all right, that would be a variance alert as well. And then there's also point alerts. So any point adjustments, those type of alerts. You don't need a floor or ceiling amount for these two, only for an amount alert. Don't worry about AML restricted. That is a Australia function. It's not used in the US. So delivery types. Do I want to have a color? So you saw the colors on a surveillance form, that you need to have that activated to get a color. If you do want a noise to pop up every time an alert comes up, check that. Do I want a print message for that alert? Saying the employee or, the patron name. You can set up SMS messaging. If in the employee form, you put your phone number in there, you can set it up to get text messages for alerts. And also you can set up emails for alerts. And again, you have to have your email set up in the employee form. What color do I want this alert to be? I could just choose green. And then my noise. All right. Sonar is, like a little ping, like a submarine. Crash and metal, it sounds like you're throwing a glass against the wall. The error is going to be that chirp. It sounds like a cricket, actually. And I don't remember what roll sounds like. Oh, can you guys hear that noise? I don't really know how to describe it. But I'm gonna choose sonar. It's more appeasing to the ear. And then my print message. All right. I can type in here. And I can also use variables. So it will pull information from Syncros and put it in this print message. And how I do that is I'm going to hit my help button. And the help docs are awesome, because if you do want to set up an alert and you don't remember what I told you or how to do it during this training, you can hit that help button and you can read these help docs. All right. So general information about this form. And then it gives you exactly what each button does. And it actually tells you exactly how to set up an alert. All right, it tells you what everything is for. And then right here, about halfway down the page, is our variables for our print message and our email message. So if I want to know the employee that put in the fill and the employee ID, I can highlight that. I'm gonna hit Control C on my keyboard. I'm gonna go back to my Syncros and I'm gonna hit Control V and paste that. And then also, if I wanted to know the location of where that fill is being requested or printed, I can paste that in there as well. And then if I want my email subject line to have the same thing, I can just copy this. Come on. And I can paste that in there as well. And then that will be in the subject line of my email once that alert is triggered. Once you have all your information, I can hit add. And now that alert is set up for that surveillance role. So if you want these alerts to go to multiple roles, you would have to start another one, choose your other role. Another one, choose the other role. Any questions on the alert setup? I'm going to take your silence as a no. All right, so that is the alert setup. Next, we are going to set up a VIP group, which normally is for marketing. Very important people. But for surveillance, it's very important problems. All right. So in the marketing module, we have our VIP tracking. All right. Um, so we are going to set up our very important problem groups. And then once they land in our casino and they card in, they will show up on this forum. So William Shakespeare here, he is part of Advantage Players Group. Okay. We want to know if anyone is part of an Advantage Players Group, if they're in the building. So it looks like William Shakespeare here just landed on BJ2. All right. About 30 minutes ago. William's also part of the Bolt Bets VIP T1 group. And then we got Robert Hill as part of the Rough Riders group, but we don't need to worry about him because he's, you know, probably part of marketing. I'm going to get back to this after I show you how to create these. All right. So what I'm going to do is first thing, now I'm on number 5 on the agenda. I'm going to hit my Synchros menu button. I'm going to go down to System Admin and I'm going to go to Zone Maintenance. All right. So this is a different kind of zone. All right. Normally you think of zones on the floor, right? Your zone has slot machine banks and asset numbers, but these are VIP zones. Okay. So I'm going to hit VIP and there's already a bunch of zone VIP groups in here or the zone for the group. I am going to add one. All right. I'm going to put a zone name and I'm going to say these are Bard patrons. And I'm just going to put my initials next to that so I know that that's the one I created. And then these are all the areas of the floor that you want this VIP zone to be able to see. All right. Normally, I just go all the way to the bottom and I'm just going to hit select all on all of them because I want my Bard patrons, if they log in or card in anywhere on the floor, I want to see it. So you get the point, I'm just going to select all of them to get my whole floor. I'm not going to go through the whole thing. But I'm going to submit that. And now my Bard patrons zone is created. Next, I'm going to go to my menu button and I'm going to go to marketing and VIP group setup. All right, so again, this is my test instance at Konami. So, we have multiple Bard patron groups in here. But I'm going to create one. So up top, so like I said, we have our forms toolbar that is different from the global. I'm going to hit add, and that will add me a blank line on the bottom. A lot of forms that look exactly like this, these buttons will be grayed out. And to insert a new blank line, oh, it just disappeared because I didn't click into it. But normally you would just have to click anywhere on this and hit insert on your keyboard. And actually that works as well. So you can either hit add on this form or insert on your keyboard. I'm just going to delete that one because I don't only need one. So I'm going to choose my name. All right. So I'm going to do the same thing. Oh, how did it get up there? It's playing tricks on me. All right, I'm going to put Bard patrons AG. My patron count is going to stay blank right now because I don't have any patrons in my group. But I'm going to go over to my description and I'm going to say patrons are 86th. And then I'm going to make it active. All right, I got to put a check mark in there, make it active. Once I save this, the last modified on and modified by will auto-populate. And I'm going to hit save. Description must have a value and roll number 35. Oh, it's because I deleted this one. Come on now. All right, it's gonna mess with me. I'm gonna leave the form. A lot of times in synchros, if you get these weird errors and it won't let you do something, it's because something you clicked somewhere on accident and now it thinks it's an empty field. So sometimes you just have to leave it, go to a different form and come back. Let's save it. Let me see. It did not. So I'm gonna start over. I'm gonna hit add. Our patrons AG. Go over here and say patrons are, whoops, 86th, make it active. I'm going to click off of there just so you can see that it's the color green. That's because I entered information in here and it's not saved yet. Once I hit save, it'll say record updated down here. Again, just kind of like with the change password, if you missed this, you can always go to your history and it'll say record updated. And then I can click on my VIP group I just set up. And I'm going to go over to alert config. So these are setting up VIP group alerts. It's kind of the same thing as setting up a system generated alert, an action alert. I'm going to choose my zone. All right. And able to choose your zone, you had to create a zone. So this is that VIP zone that I just created. Do I want somebody to get an email when somebody lands? Sure. So I would just put the email address in there. Priority. All right. There's 3 priorities. So priority 1, the email is going to go to me first. Okay. I can make a timer here. So it's going to go to me first, but if I put 20 minutes in here and I don't acknowledge the email in 20 minutes, then I can add another one. I'm still going to use my same zone. And then I can choose the next person that I would want to get this email. And I can make him priority 2. All right, so it's going to go to him first, and then it's going to go to me. And I could leave mine at 0. Basically saying if he doesn't acknowledge it in 20 minutes, it'll come to me, and then I have infinity amount of time to acknowledge the alert. And then the same thing with the message. If I hit the help doc, there are variables. Right here. Okay. So I can copy these variables in there, and then they would pull the information from Synchros and put it in the message on that VIP tracking form. If I leave it at default, you can read down here what the default message will be. All right. It'll basically be all of this stuff. So new VIP arrival, their first name, last name, their VIP group, their zone, where they're located, the zone where they're located. So if it's like a pit 1 or, high limit zone, and the asset that they're playing at. I'm just gonna leave it at default. And then once I set up my alerts, I can save those. See, record updated. I'm gonna hit the back button so I can go back to my VIP group, make sure I'm still highlighted. And now I can add my members. All right. I can hit members and I can add my list of barred patrons in here that I want to see if they card in on the floor. I can hit the add button. The search engine is going to come up just like if I was looking up a patron in the patron custom form. I can put in a last name. You guys know about the percent sign. So let's say Shakespeare. I'm going to add him in this group as well. I don't exactly know how to spell Shakespeare. I don't know if his last name ends with an E or without an E. I could just put in shake and a percent sign, And it's basically telling Synchros, I want to look up everyone with the last name that starts with SHAK. And I can hit OK. And the only person in my system is William Shakespeare. I can hit add again. If I do that again and I only put an SH with the percent sign, it's going to bring up everyone in my system with the last name that just starts with SH. And then I would have to scroll through and find the person that I was looking for. Charlie Sheen. Oh yeah, he's definitely Bard. And I'll just add one more for fun. Edward Hyde. Mr. Hyde is always a troublemaker. Once I have my patrons, these other buttons over here, guys, you won't have to worry about. The wizard is for marketing, and that's for making like birthday groups or groups of 65 plus. But for surveillance and setting up a Bard patrons group, you would just want to add them one by one. So now I have my members. I'm going to hit save, record updated. I'm going to hit back. And now my patron count is 3. And you can always come back in here later and add to these groups. So once it's saved, I can click on myself again. I can go back to members and I can add more members at a later date. And I can also delete. So if I didn't want Edward Hyde in there, I can delete him, save it. So I can, maybe, he had a grace period that, he was self-barred, and his period ended and now he's good to go. You can delete him from there as well. So any questions on setting up a VIP group, the alerts, or adding members?
Question about the self exclusions. Is it? I think we may have covered this before, but is there a way we can separate those from just regular evictions?
Yes, I can show you that.
Okay.
I'll show you that when I get into the patron information.
All right.
Excellent. Next, I'm going to go to my menu button, marketing, VIP notes setup. So I can just set up automatic notes. So when those patrons land, when we go to that VIP tracking page, after I acknowledge that they have landed and they are playing, before I basically complete that VIP tracking form, I can enter notes on that patron before I complete it. And these are just notes that you can set up beforehand. So there's already a bunch of notes in here. I'm not going to set up anymore, but if you wanted to add a note, you can click in there, hit insert on your keyboard. You would have to have a unique ID number. So if you look down here, how it skips from 20 to 23, more than likely there was a 21 and 22, but someone deleted it. But that ID is no longer unique. All right. So if I do use 21 and I put in my notes and I try to save it, it'll probably say, you need to have a unique ID. So I usually just go to the bottom and I'll just go above the last one. So I'll try 102. Note description. Bard. Put my initials there. And then what note do I want in the description? All right. 86 patron. All right, that would be my note setup. I'm not gonna, well, I guess I can save it. Why not? All right, so record updated, perfect. And then when I go back to my VIP tracking, if any of those 3 people I put in my group landed on a table or they put a card in a slot machine, they would show up here. So I had put William on a table before I started this session. I can click on him and then this will pop up. So patron information, alert information, his VIP group, the zone he's in, and priority. All right, so that were those priorities that we set up on the alerts. And then once I acknowledge that he's here, the status will change from new to acknowledged. These here are basically saying that an email was sent when they landed, but an email was not sent when these landed. So whoever set up the Advantage Players group probably didn't, put in a valid email, which I didn't either. So I would get the red here. But now that I acknowledge that he's here and priority one, because I was the first person in that priority, this is where that note setup comes in. I can scroll down to my my notes, and where did I put mine? There it is, Bard AG, and then the note automatically pops up. But I can also click in here and put in my own notes, like kicked out immediately. All right. And then I can complete that. And then that one will fall off the list. Any micro reports through here? Yep. And then you can look at micro reports as well for the VIP tracking. So you can look at, alert history. Completed, expired. Let's see, completed. Yep. So I just completed that one. So it goes into the micro report. And you can print these out and preview them just like a regular report. Any questions about VIP zones, groups, notes, acknowledging? Pretty self-explanatory. Next, number 6 is our floor graphics. So I'm going to go down to my slot accounting and floor graphics. This is our test instance, and it's very jumbled up, but your floor graphics will look exactly like a map of your casino. So if anybody does show up, Shakespeare showed up on BJ2. I'm just going to scroll over here as if there was a blank here. But floor graphics, it's pretty cool. You can zoom in, zoom out. If you change the arrow to a hand, that helps you move around on the casino floor. Put it back to the arrow. That's how you can, if you hold down Alt on your keyboard, that will turn your arrow into a hand as well. So you don't have to keep clicking back and forth on here. Just hold down Alt. But the arrow is going to let you click on assets, right click on assets, get more information, right click on gray areas. You can put up queries, all sorts of fun stuff. The magnifying glass is queries. I'll get back to that in a second. But we can find assets. All right. So if you're like zoomed out all the way and you can't see anything on your map, you can find the asset right here. It's kind of like a box with cherries. I guess it's supposed to be like a little picture of a slot machine, maybe. But I can type in BJ02. And I can hit find, and it'll take me right to that asset. And then I can zoom out to see exactly where that asset is on the floor. If I hover over that asset, it'll give me some information. So it's BJ2, it's average bet of $25. And then underneath the min max, it shows who's on the table. So I got Robert Hill there, I got William Shakespeare, and apparently somebody named Test Test. I wish that was my name. I'm gonna change my name to that. Underneath that, you can also search for patrons. So I'm just going to move away again. If you have the patron ID number or their first name, last name, you can search for them. I'm going to put in Shake with my %, because you can use that here as well. Now I'm going to hit find. And it's going to take me right to where Mr. Shakespeare is playing. Unfortunately, it doesn't show you what spot he's sitting in, which I wish it would. But I can right click and I can get table options. I can look at micro reports. I can look at patron options. So I'm looking at William. He's our Bard patron that we wanted to look at. I can show patron detail. That really doesn't help out surveillance, but you can look at patron micro reports You can see activity on what this patron has been doing. All kinds of stuff. You know, transaction history, all kinds of micro reports. This is another form that surveillance should have up on a big screen at all times because it is live. All right. So when people do get you know, leave tables and sit down on tables, same thing with slot machines. If they sit down and card in a slot, you know, it'll say if someone underneath the game type there, it'll say if someone is sitting and playing on that card machine. You know, their name. This magnifying glass here is custom queries that are preloaded into the system. And if you scroll all the way down, it has alerts that were set up as well. So if there was a certain alert that you guys set up, and if it was, I'm not going to go through this whole list and look for barred patrons, but you guys will be able to see it. Oh, this one is like so this one has the variables as well. It'll say it's the patron first, last name, and patron ID number, and it says is now unbarred. We can check mark on that and give that a color. You know, say it's bright yellow. And then if I hit that X button and there is a patron that is now unbarred and they're carded in, that machine will be yellow. Also, you know, you can look at other stuff as well. You can look at carded in players, all carded in players. You can look at, you know, any pending jackpots on slot machines, pending fills, you know, that's all those sort of things. And then the colors, you know, you can change. And the colors are based on your login as well. So if you choose this for blue, somebody else can choose it for green, and it'll be a different color for them. But I'll make that yellow. And then once I hit the X, those queries will take effect. But see, I have my blue and my yellow. Well, I don't remember what I chose for those. If you right click on any gray area, go down to toggle legend, it'll pull up your legend. All right, so my carded players are blue, my pending jackpots are yellow. So I got some carded players in here with the blue. I don't know why current carded players in there twice, but you know, open tables. Here's some alerts. Pending jackpot's yellow, so I got a pending jackpot on this slot machine. So on and so forth. Any questions about floor graphics? Perfect. So again, most of this stuff, surveillance, is read-only. All right. So I'm gonna go to my menu button, go to asset management and slot maintenance. So if I find an asset, so say a slot attendant calls you guys and says, hey, asset number 3001, the screen is broke. You know, can you tell me who the last person was to sit on this machine? I sure can. I'm gonna go up to find. I'm gonna put in 3001. I'm gonna hit OK. And it's gonna find that asset. So you see how everything is read only. You know, I can't change anything. I don't know why I can change that. But if I do change that, it won't let me save it anyway. All right, I don't have an option to save. Same thing for a template. You know, I won't be able to save anything, but most of it's grayed out. Same thing for all these tabs. You won't have access to any of these, but you'll have access to the micro reports. So if I hit my drop down and I go to device transaction history with Bill for 24 hours, it is going to show me exactly who that last person was that put a bill in this machine. I don't have any bills in a machine here because I'm not connected to any slot machines, but you will. And if they were carded in, it would say Edward Hyde was here 2 minutes ago. And if I go over here, transaction credit, it'll say, you know, I put in a $20 bill, or I put in a $100 bill, or I put in 1,000. You know, it'll have each transaction. So if I put in 10 $100 bills, it would show my name with a credit of 100, 10 times. And it can actually show my debit, which if I broke the screen, it would probably be 0. So it'll show that I put in $1,000. I didn't cash out nothing. I broke the screen. And then you guys can do your due diligence, look at the surveillance film, and see where I went after I put my fist through that machine. Same thing for tables, asset management, table maintenance. You know, patron was on BJ02. He grabbed all the chips in the tray and threw them up in the air. You know, I can look at my micro reports for the table transactions, see who was bought in on that table, you know, in the last, you know, few minutes. And you can narrow it down from there. And, you know, again, look at your film. You know, you guys have eyes on everybody. You can see who threw the chips up in the air. Patrons. All right, number 9. Stickers menu button. Patron tracking and patrons. Oh, walks out on tab. Watch him. Who followed me over here? So this is one of those mandatory read notes. This is my man Edward Hyde. You know, Mr. Hyde, very angry fella. He has multiple mandatory read notes. That's why the scroll is over here. Mr. Hyde's also been abusive towards dealers. You know, monitor behavior, contact shift manager, surveillance when gas lands. And apparently also he likes to walk out on his tabs. Sounds like Mr. Hyde should be 86th. But he followed me over here because he was the last person that I looked up. So be careful of that as well, because people will follow you over from form to form. And if that's not the person you want to look for, you can clear it out or just hit find and then actually find the person you want to look for. But this is that status that you guys were asking about. If I hit the drop down, we have casino barred, and then we also have self barred.
Okay, good.
All right.
Great too.
In this patrons form, this is basically the default form for patron maintenance. If I hit the find button, and I'm just going to go G%. It's going to show all my inactive, my self-barred duplicate accounts, casino barred, which casino barred is yellow instead of red, and only the self-barred is red. That doesn't make any sense to me. But I didn't build it. I just train it. Yeah. So in the custom forms, and I'll show you that in a second, we can build each department a custom form. So it doesn't have all this information, all these tabs up here. So for surveillance, we probably build you a custom form, and you know, it'll probably just have patron information, you know, like the dates, the ID, contacts, demographic, you know, stuff like that. But again, yours will be read only. All right, you won't be able to update, edit, delete anything from these forms. But again, you know, you can get patron information, you can get their contact information, where they live, phone number, email if it's on file. But again, you have micro reports on these patrons. You know, thing that would probably be most important to you is the transaction history, you know, like patron play history. Where is it? wager history, all right, like where did they play on the casino floor. In the custom form, so you can see, Mr. Hyde followed me over here again, but a lot less tabs. All right, very to the point, what information you want to see. And then very quick information over on the side panel here, you know, patron ID, name, date of birth, last play date. But yeah, again, you know, the account tab is where their card is, contacts. The date is birth date, sign up date, first rating date. Their ID information, driver's license information, if you need to get that. Images. So this is going to be their driver's license images. It's going to be a full picture of the driver's license, a headshot, and a picture of the signature. But as surveillance, you can add images. All right. So if on my license, I have a full head of hair and glasses and a beard, and when I was in the casino, I shaved my head bald and I was clean shaven with no glasses, you could take a picture of me through surveillance, and then you can upload that. So I can hit choose image, and then I can upload an image from the computer. History, I'll go into the other history tab. Any questions about the patron information? You guys are great. I'm flying through this training. I'm gonna give you guys back like over an hour and a half of your life. Patron tracking, player history. So Edward followed me over here again. Normally you can clear that out. Because same situation, you would use this to look up, you know, who played on an asset last. Or you could look up the patron and see where they played last. So if I did want to find out where, you know, Mr. Shakespeare played last, I can look him up with the find button. I can hit OK. I can choose the date. If I hit current open ratings, and I hit make sure tables and slots is checked, I could process query. And if I have a current open rating, if Mr. Shakespeare has a current open rating, it'll show me where he is playing right now. He's on BJ2. If I don't hit that and I hit process query, oh, I guess that's the only rating Mr. Shakespeare had today. But again, going back to the cracked slot machine screen, I can clear this out and I can filter over here. So I could find the zone, you know, wherever asset 3001 is. I'm not exactly sure, but I can go to my zone. I can go to the bank, and then I would choose the device, which would be 3001. Why doesn't it give me device options? All right, let me just choose something different here. I swear. Huh?
Yeah, it's in a weird.
I don't know what zone to pick. All right, let me try zone A. There we go. We got asset numbers. All right. Let's say it was asset 2001. I can filter to the zone, to the bank, to the asset number. And then I can hit process query. Nothing's going to come up because I don't have any slot machines in here. But it would show the last person that played on that machine down here. So a couple different ways to, you know, find out, you know, who played on what asset, where patrons are playing right now. All fun stuff. Any questions about patron information or, investigating patrons or assets? I'm going to my menu button. I'm going to human resources and I'm gonna go to employees. Again, read only. Everything's grayed out. Can't do anything, but I'm gonna find an employee. You know, supervisor calls you and says, hey, I saw this employee open up this slot machine 10 times in the last, 20 minutes. You can look up that employee either by first name, last name, or actual login. I'm gonna look up myself. Who's messing with the employee form? Why don't I have a role? That is weird.
Important.
Somebody's messing around with settings, but not important. But you can look up, employee, their address if it's on file, telephone, email, image if it's in there. And then micro reports. All right. You can look at employee transactions. If they work in the cage, you can look at their cage transactions. If a supervisor noticed that an employee happened to be on the what's it called? What's the form called where you give free points? Point management,
Yeah.
something along those lines.
Yeah.
You can look at cage transactions for current day for this employee and see what they've been doing all day. Or you can just look at all transactions for current gaming day. And you can actually see that, they opened up, slot asset 2001, they opened the door 10 times, all their transactions, employees doing shady stuff. You can find out that. You can also find, I don't have access, dang it. All right, I'm gonna go to, my other, I got another instance open here. There's also kiosk maintenance, micro reports. If it didn't freeze up on me. And it looks like it did. All right, we're gonna start over. Well, it didn't freeze up on me. Excellent. So kiosk maintenance. You can find a kiosk terminal. Say every terminal. Go to the micro reports. See what transactions was going on the kiosk. If something funny was going on, you can see all the transactions, current day, previous day on the kiosk. And also the POS, point of sale. You can find your point of sale, look that up, go to your micro reports. Nope, I don't have any in there, but you can see transactions on point of sale locations as well. Now, get back into my security role here. In our audit, when we came to Hollywood, and we were asking you all those fun questions, the credit authorizers. I guess you wanted access to see who were the credit authorizers. But this is basically all it's going to be is you'll have access to the credit authorizers form. It's grayed out. You can't do anything, but you can just see what employees are credit authorizers. And also, if you go to the patron tracking, patron credit, this is where we sign up people for credit, for markers, checking, if they want to be able to use checks, This is where we set up, their financial institutions. If you guys are doing consolidated W2G for high rollers. You can find a patron here. In there, no. Look at their credit information, credit limit. If I used any checks. Again, same thing, contacts, it's gonna have their address, telephone, email, physical, dates, ID, pretty much, same tabs as the patron form. You can see their bank information. I don't know why that would be useful for surveillance, but there's micro reports as well. It's pretty much the same reports as the patron form as well. Do you guys see any reason you would need to have access to the credit information?
No security for sure.
Say that one more time.
I said that's negative in security.
What about surveillance? Oh, no.
I don't believe.
Okay. Is Terrence on the call? No?
No, he's
Clarissa is. Oh, I'll make a note of that. I appreciate it. I just lost my VPN, so bear with me for 1 second. I have to get back in. I don't know why I lost connection. I was working on you. Love that 15-digit password we have to use. Connect, please. Beautiful. And then for surveillance, you guys wanted access to the table rating form. Is that correct? Is that to see like where the players are sitting? Like what spot they're sitting in?
That, and we can monitor how they being rated, if they're being rated fairly.
Okay. The only problem with this table rating form is there is no read-only access. All right. It's either you have access to this form or you don't. So as surveillance, I understand that you want to be able to look at the tables, look at the patrons, see what their ratings are, see what their average bets are, those kind of things. But you can literally do whatever you want in this form. There is no read-only option. So, I mean, obviously trust your employees, but, people make mistakes.
I wouldn't want it if it's not read only, because people can make mistakes and add, subtract something out of there.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, right
you
there
know,
with you.
I used to be, assistant casino manager, and, I trusted all my employees until I couldn't trust them anymore. And, some people, they take advantage of the process. But, you might have a surveillance guy looking down and see his dad playing on blackjack and, up his average bet to $100 a hand. And now he's getting all kind of comps because he's getting $100 average instead of, $5. Yeah, there is no read-only access. So you said you do not want it if it's not read-only?
That's correct.
All right, I'll make a note of that as well. But that will conclude our training session. Is there anything that I went over or I didn't go over that you think you might need access to?
I think you cover everything that, pertains to the property. I think we're good.
Excellent. Excellent. All right, well, if you guys do have any questions that you can't think of right now, feel free, shoot me an email. I will get back to you as soon as I can. But other than that, have a great night, everyone. Thanks for joining.
Thank you as well.